First of all, the most talking point in the entire announcement was what India called putting the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance. Now, people are slightly foggy about what keeping the treaty in abeyance might mean. Also, some have raised the question whether, in practical terms, one can actually do anything under the treaty to stop water flow to our western neighbor. How do you look at it, sir?
First and foremost, of course, what's happened is very, very sad, but the steps being taken, I would say, are in the right direction. First and foremost, the Indus Water Treaty that you are referring to of 1960, the eastern rivers flow for our reserve for India, that includes the Ravi, Beas and Satluj, and Jhelum, Chenab and Indus, the western rivers, the water is for Pakistan. But most of the water, almost 85% of the water is being used by Pakistan. So if that was to be held in abeyance, which of course water, it would take time for all of it to fructify, but notwithstanding, 24% of the GDP of Pakistan is totally dependent on the water which flows from the Indus Water, this Indus Water Treaty, firstly. Secondly, even about 74% of the water that is there made available to Pakistan is through this particular treaty. Should this water not be there, you would find that it would almost turn into a desert. And this water treaty, which has been negotiated by the World Bank, has stood the test of time since 60, despite having gone to wars, having very, very low relations diplomatically and militarily also. So since then, but this kind of a straight holding an IWT treaty in abeyance is an indication that Pakistan has been told knows total zero tolerance, and therefore either they mend their ways or they're going to suffer. Suffer to the extent that Pakistan can turn into a desert should the IWT treaty be held in abeyance or even abrogated if Pakistan doesn't mend its ways. So it's a very important step taken. Of course, it's a water flow and all of it would take time, but that's a huge signal being given to Pakistan that please mend your ways. It's enough is enough. The water has flown over our head. We cannot accept this kind of, because Pakistan has been using terror as an instrument of state policy all along. Even now, of course, you find a lot of statements emanating from there, shaky, very, very nervous that Pakistan is not involved, Pakistan hasn't done this, and Pakistan hasn't done that, which always they're in denial mode. But the Hate India campaign, wanting to bleed India with 1,000 cuts, to be able to hit the J&K at a place where it would hurt them the most, because tourism is something over 2 crore people have gone to the valley as part of tourists.
General, we will come to the denials of Pakistan and how much of a stamp of Pakistan is visible here. But as you just said, we can stop the water flow. But right now, it is a stern message to the western neighbor. Coming to Ajay Sani here, sir, immediately after India's statement, Pakistan was quick to go into denial mode and say that they had nothing to do with this whole attack. But experts are saying, and you must have followed the media reports, that the stamp of Pakistan is just so clearly visible in this entire matter. And this is not just about the terrorists who were seen there. It is also about the manner of the execution of this entire attack. So, how do you look at the stamp of Pakistan? Are we sure? Because there have been voices from within India also, stray voices, saying, why are we so sure about Pakistan being involved?
Well, there is a very long history. It's a history of 35 years of proxy terrorism in Jammu Kashmir.
Yes.
The incident itself has been claimed by a known proxy of the Lashkar-e-Taiba. The Lashkar-e-Taiba, the top leadership, is based in Pakistan, operates openly, advertises its programs, advertises recruitment, advertises requests or pleas for contributions and donations to jihad in India. So even if we go by documented secondary evidence, it is very clear that that this group, the so-called resistance force, which is a proxy of the Lashkar-e-Taiba, is operating with complete freedom in Pakistan.
Secondly, you mean the resistance front, for the benefit of our viewers, the TRF?
The resistance front, yes. Oh, I'm sorry, yes, the resistance front. And the weaponry that has come in has been used the levels of training. There have been so many incidents of the recent past where we see extremely low-trained individuals participating over the last few years in small acts of terrorism. The local capacity or capability, both for acquisition of weaponry and for training, has been substantially, I would say, discovered and neutralized. So whatever is happening over the last several incidents we have seen where individuals have been identified, and three of the individuals in this case have already been named by the police with sketches and descriptives. And there is a record of their having crossed over, two of them having crossed over to Pakistan in 2017. There are sufficient intelligence flows. We know that there are frequent efforts, some of them, increasingly smaller numbers of them, success for infiltration across the line of control and international border from Pakistan into India. There have been several, not only in Jammu Kashmir, but also in Punjab, so many drone droppings of weapons. So all these factors put together make it fairly clear that the Pakistani hand, not only as Lashkar-e-Taiba, but of the Pakistani state, is clearly behind a succession of these attacks. And this attack has a firm footprint of the same patterns.
So not only are terrorist groups, the stamp of the terrorist groups quite starkly visible in this attack, it is even maybe and some arms of the Pakistan army directly. And it's not been long when we heard the army general in Pakistan speaking about the two-nation theory, who was sounding more like a completely bigoted and hate-filled mullah, if I may say, rather than an army general.
May I intervene there? You know, most of the people who are talking about Munir's speech have probably not heard it.
Well,
Munir has not said a single thing that has not been said 100 times before by leaders, including military leaders in Pakistan, including General Musharraf, who also used the same phrase that Kashmir is the jugular vein of Pakistan. So we need to sort of take an objective view of these various statements and the various associations we are making or the conclusions we are drawing from them. Munir has said precisely what all military leaders and political leaders in Pakistan have said, that Kashmir is a core objective of Pakistan. I would not link it to any individual case. I would link it, this is what I would like to say. This war with Pakistan did not start on the 22nd of April 2025. It's an ongoing conflict.
Yes.
Munir is not the person who has started it. 35 years leaders have supported this.
Right.
So this is a protracted conflict. It's a long war. Every time they fire a shot, we don't start a new analysis that why did they do it? Munir said this, so-and-so came to India, so-and-so went to Pakistan. All that is not important. Every leader in Pakistan has supported the jihad in Jammu Kashmir.
Point taken, sir. Point taken. I will like to come to Aditya here. Aditya, Hafiz Saeed, while on the one hand, Pakistan is trying to deny its involvement, Hafiz Saeed, in a very comment filled with bravado, has said, "Agar pani band karoge to khoon bahega." But that is Hafiz Saeed. We can leave him for a second. There are statements in our country, most recently by a person who is not even an official member of Congress Party, Robert Vadra, other politicians here and there in the country who have tried, in a very clever manner to issue statements which, on the one hand, they try to condemn the terror attack, they try to express their sympathy with the victims, but on the other hand, they are willy-nilly blaming the environment in the country, the politics of the country, and so in a very clever manner trying to justify what happened as, an obvious outcome of what is going on within India. How do you look at those statements, including Hafiz Saeed?
At a time when such a dastardly, cowardly terror attack has taken place, one would expect the entire country to unite behind the Indian security forces, in particular the Indian Army, which is at the forefront of this war against Pakistan-sponsored terror. And time and again, we've seen often that whenever such cowardly terror attacks take place, the biggest example, 26/11, there were, similar kind of political, brickbats agendas, and unfortunately politics played on such terror attacks. But as a strategic, affairs expert who has tracked Pakistan and Kashmir for almost 2 decades, I would refrain from, getting into the politics of it. But I would only focus on what's happening right now. I think India has given a very stern diplomatic message to Pakistan, and it's a very systematic, step-by-step manner approach and whole of government approach that is being witnessed. The Cabinet Committee on Security meeting went on for 2.5 hours, clearly signifying that they are very serious with what has happened. And what Prime Minister Narendra Modi has also said in his speech in Bihar gives a very loud message. He spoke in Hindi as well as in English. And that was because he wants the international community to hear what India is going through. India has been a victim of terror for a very long time, and India cannot tolerate it anymore. Our patience is, running out. And as I said, yes, there is one Lashkar-e-Toiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, Hizbul Mujahideen, Al-Badr and others, these terror organizations who have unleashed this proxy war at the behest of the Pakistan deep state. But at the top of this entire conspiracy and the plot is certainly Asim Munir, is certainly, Pakistan Army. So we will have to, talk about what Asim Munir has said. We will have to talk about what the Pakistan Army has been saying for a very long time, and also the frustration that Pakistan Army has been going through. There are multiple reasons. One, what's happening in Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa over the last 3 years. In fact, in the last 3 months itself, every single day, there are killings of the Pakistan Army, Frontier Corps, and several Punjabi civilians taking place across Balochistan. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is similar, where the TTP and the Pashtun are fighting against the Pakistani forces on a daily basis, and the Pakistan media does not report this. So there's a growing frustration that Asim Munir has been suffering. And to top it all, Imran Khan and his entire, support across Pakistan. Asim Munir is not under control. The economic collapse of Pakistan is visible. The political collapse of Pakistan is visible, and the security situation has been deteriorating. So at that time, he is just trying to deflect attention towards Jammu and Kashmir. And if we go by his statement, his anti-India and anti-Hindu rant, it was amply clear that something was going to happen. And, in fact, I had written an article on the 18th of Feb that India should be prepared for this new jihadist wave that Pakistan will unleash on Kashmir. It's
unfortunately,
what happened in Pahalgam. Tourist spots were not attacked earlier. So there was some kind of intelligence that terrorists were roaming in that area. But I'm pretty sure that the Indian security forces, the Indian government, will certainly give a very strong response to this.
Correct.